Welcome to Awakening You channel. If you appreciate what we do, please support us. Thank you. Channel, AS. My dearest brothers and sisters, this is Hakann speaking. I greet you in peace and love. I would like to offer some additional clarification about what the future may look like. After all, in some cases I've talked about your near-term future being incredibly bright. However, last week I was talking about a small probability of there being 100 years of instability if we intervene. So which is it? Let's say 5 years from now, will you be living in a fully love-based 5D society, or will you be living in a society that's nicer than the current one but that is still possibly ruled by 3D people who play power games? Well, it is likely that one of the following possible future scenarios will unfold. Possibility 1, there is a solar flash in a few years, and possibly also a big move by the Grey Hats or an intervention by the Galactics. Because of the solar flash, everyone either gets shoved into 5D or dies. Or similarly, there's a splitting of timelines, and some people will live in a 5D society and some people will live in a 3D society. In either case, after the solar flash or splitting of timelines, you will be quickly living in a 5D society among other 5D people. That will be amazing for you. If you feel drawn to these messages, you'll likely survive the solar flash shove into 5D, although it could still be disorienting, or you will likely be part of the 5D group in case of a splitting of timelines. This is true even if you still have some issues or old pain or so-called negative emotions. Most people do. Recall that 4D is the relatively brief bridge consciousness between 3D and 5D. 4D people typically know that something is wrong, and they're looking for answers, but they don't quite know what is true and they are dealing with a lot of old pain and illusions and possibly an unintegrated ego. A solar flash would shove 3D people straight into 5D, because a solar flash is the all the darkness ends now scenario, and 4D people can still absolutely hurt others. So that was possibility 1, there is a solar flash or splitting of timelines in the near term, in a few years. Let's look at possibility 2. Possibility 2, the Grey Hats free Earth, and because of that source decides to not do the solar flash in the near future, because that would kill a lot of people. The solar flash could happen a bit later, or possibly there's no solar flash ever and the people simply evolve to 5D naturally. In this case, most people initially will still be 3D, because there is no solar flash that instantly makes them 5D. However, the influential people on your world will have learned the lesson of freedom, because they liberated Earth themselves. Because of that, there most likely won't be instability, and you will most likely quickly build a love-based 5D society. We will also be physically present to help out, to offer our healing services and to simply spend quality time with our Earth brothers and sisters. The 3D people on your world will evolve to 4D and then 5D relatively quickly, because they're now living in a 5D society and because of our presence. Life will quickly become very pleasant indeed. Possibility 3, the Grey Hats don't free Earth, but we intervene to free Earth and because of that source decides not to have a near-term solar flash. In this scenario, the people of Earth listen to our suggestion to live together in peace and freedom. This scenario will then pretty much play out as the previous one, a 5D society is quickly built, and because of that and because of our presence, 3D humans quickly evolve to 5D. Possibility 4, the Grey Hats don't free Earth, but we intervene to free Earth and because of that source decides not to have a near-term solar flash. In this scenario, the people of Earth do not listen to our suggestion to live together in peace and freedom. This is an unlikely and unfortunate scenario. In this case, most people on your world will be 3D, and also society will be 3D for some time. In a particularly bad outcome, there may be 100 years of instability, possibly including more wars. If you insist on fighting a war, we will counsel against it and try to offer everyone what they need to live without having to go to war, but we will not physically stop you from fighting each other. Hopefully the people will simply refuse to fight more wars, even if your so-called leaders try to start more of them. Even in this scenario, Earth society and Earth humans will eventually become 4D and then 5D, because of our presence and because of the rising energies. But in a particularly bad outcome, it can take quite some time, roughly 100 years, perhaps before the current people have evolved from 3D to 4D to 5D. This scenario is not very likely. It means that the Grey Hats have to fail to take action, and Source decides not to have a near-term solar flash, and the people of Earth don't listen to our suggestion to live together in peace. And it would take yet another stroke of bad luck for the instability to then last 100 years. Even in this particularly bad 100 years of instability scenario, the lives of the average person on Earth will still be substantially better than they are now. The dark controllers will be removed, and even in the unfortunate outcome where they are replaced by dark gray people, those dark gray people won't be as bad. Also, suppressed technologies will be released, making your lives substantially easier. Truth will be revealed and disclosure will happen, by us, if necessary. We will be walking among you, and we will be available to offer our help. Even in the unlikely case where there is 100 years of instability, we will be on Earth and you will be able to spend time with us. We will also allow those with a relatively high level of consciousness to go on holidays on our worlds, or even permanently migrate to our worlds. Most people who receive this message will be able to reach this required level of consciousness relatively quickly, especially if they accept our offer of healing and spiritual teaching. After all, it is an enrichment of our society if Earth light workers would visit us or live among us. We just want to avoid having billions of 3D people suddenly migrate to our admittedly very nice and pleasant worlds, because that would disrupt both our worlds and Earth way too much. We are not looking to suddenly depopulate Earth via mass emigration. Instead of depopulating it, we would much rather uplift Earth humans and Earth society, so that Earth also becomes an amazing place to live. Earth also offers more opportunities for 3D people to learn 3D lessons, which is yet another argument to have the 3D people remain on Earth until they have increased their level of consciousness a bit. But doing so will be easier once you are liberated, and we will be available to offer help and healing and teaching. Plus of course our company. The relatively small group of people with a high enough level of consciousness are absolutely welcome on our worlds. And for those who don't have this level of consciousness yet, they can visit us on Earth. That will most likely be a very good experience too. Another path is ascension. You can also just keep increasing your level of consciousness and new options will open up to you. You can leave your body and start another existence. Or you can remain in your body and gain what you would consider to be miraculous powers and a profound peace of mind and joy. Of course you can also ascend today, but this will be easier once humanity is liberated and once we are physically present on your world. Also, technically you can liberate Earth in short order, even without the intervention of either the Grey Hats or us Galactics. You are much more powerful than you realize right now. Still, we understand that this is theoretically true but difficult in practice, because so many things are weighing you down right now, stopping you from soaring. At the same time, you have maintained the light on your world, and that is making the lives of your brothers and sisters easier, plus it means that your liberation will come quicker than it otherwise would. From our point of view, you light workers are performing excellently. So, again, even in the worst case scenario where 3D people continue to be in power for a time, you personally need not be shackled to the 3D people. You will have other options hanging out with us on Earth, moving to our worlds, ascending, or simply meeting up with other 5D Earth humans. You will not have to wait for the 3D people to get their act together. And even the 3D people will have lives that are substantially less painful than they are now, even in the 100 years of instability scenario. We've spent a lot of time discussing what is more or less the worst case scenario. It's also quite likely that there will either be a solar flash in the near future, or that you will be liberated by either the Grey Hats or us Galactics, and then a 5D society will be quickly built. We will walk among you, and that will be a bright future indeed. I hope this helps. The energy on your world is intense right now, and people are dying. I know that life is particularly hard at the moment, but please hang on. Our special forces are currently taking a certain amount of action on Earth. It's not the full intervention yet, but things are moving. Your star brother, Hakann for Era of Light.